Yo, what's up? This is Bo Vice Boxing. I just wanted to take a break. I'm getting some shots up in the gym, but I want to take a break and talk about the Barbershop conversations and Ticket TV conversation about Sean Porter while it's fresh in my head. I wanted to respond to Fred because I saw his video this morning about the video that Ticket TV posted, and I still disagree with a lot of what Fred is saying. When he first started the video, he said he acknowledged that the video was old, and when I was listening to it, it sounded like Ticket was piecing together stuff. So yeah, some of the things were dated and old, but I don't know how relevant that is unless Barbershop Conversations position has changed. And since it doesn't seem as though it's changing much, then a lot of that stuff that he was saying is still kind of applies today. One thing that I disagree with a whole lot is the idea that just because somebody's a fighter, that means that they're not scared. Now, when you fight, you obviously have courage, so we giving people credit for getting into the ring, but the human emotions, the feelings that they have, it doesn't change. You're still a human being, and so some of that stuff still applies. And what that makes you have to do is you have to read between the lines of what somebody is actually saying. So, I mean, no, Sean Porter's not going to come out and say, yeah, I'm afraid of Spence, so I'm not going to fight him. But you have to read between the lines when you're talking about, in one situation, he would do this, but in this situation, he wouldn't do this. And you have to kind of like read that to know that he feels differently about this person or this situation. And that happens a whole lot when it comes to athletes. And I mean, that stuff doesn't change. I'm a basketball player, and one of the main things that I have preached for a long time is that I can tell who you are by the way you play. And not that has nothing to do with your skill level, but your personality shows through in when you face adversity or you're in competition. And basketball is a beautiful game that way because it just kind of tells you like the type of person a person is by the way they handle themselves on the court and how their thought process is. And that stuff is relevant, and that's the reason why you can look at a guy and tell if he's gonna quit in a fight. You can tell, like people get on Adrian Broner a whole lot, and that's because his personality shows through when he's in the ring. So the idea that they just step in the ring and all of a sudden they're just machines without any type of human emotion is ridiculous. And he was talking about how fans and stuff like that don't matter. When he brought up the analogy of playing a basketball game or a football game and the crowd noise doesn't matter. That sounds like somebody, and I'm not saying this about Fred, but that sounds like somebody who's never had to perform in front of a large amount of people or in an adverse situation. That shit matters. And even take a situation like Spence talking about going to England and how loud it was and how the building was rocking and I'm a licensed therapist, so I'm big about the psychology behind stuff. It's like, yeah, that shit does matter. Your legs do get a little bit shaky. That's the reason why guys will be at the free throw line in practice and make 90% and get in a real game and shoot 67% or lower. Is because there's nerves involved that changes the way you perform. So the idea that the crowd doesn't matter and the atmosphere doesn't matter is ridiculous. So anyway, I just wanted to hit that point. One of the things that I heard Barbershop Conversations talk about in regards to Sean Porter, it's like you're waiting in line for a PS4 and all of a sudden somebody says up the street they got it for $300. You're not going to lose your place in line. That makes sense until you complete the parallel. So in this situation, Sean Porter would have been waiting in line for his PS4, and then for no reason at all, the person behind him gets to jump in front of him. And that's what happened with Danny Garcia. WBC, you can talk about the rankings and how it works, but that makes no sense because they just took him out that spot if I'm not mistaken. So that'd be like being at the store waiting in line for hours, and all of a sudden the manager comes out and just picks the dude behind you and goes, yeah, he gonna go ahead and jump right here, and we're not gonna tell you why, that's just what it is. And then on top of that, down the street, somebody saying like, yo, you come down here, I'll make it cheaper for you. You don't have to wait. I'll give you VIP access, and you can go ahead and get this PS4, and it's good, man. Like, and it's the PS4 that, you know what I'm saying? It's the same model that you just broke. You broke your shit. He gonna bring you the same shit with all of the settings you had in your shit, all of it. You just got to come get it. Now, the reason why you wouldn't go down the street in that example is because you know it's a dangerous neighborhood, and you know you might get robbed. You might get your ass beat, and so you go ahead and stay in the safe line where you know the neighborhood and you feel like you could just, you know, take advantage of the situation. And that's more, to complete that, that's more what it's like when you're talking about Errol Spence being in the IBF and in the WBC with Shawn Porter and Keith Thurman. What else? Yeah, so I just wanted to get those thoughts out. I know, I don't know how many people actually see this, but I just wanted to make sure I got that on record. I'm really excited about the Trill Boxing Talk. I hope they have got a chance to kind of look at this back and forth, and so they can address some of this stuff, because I don't agree with a lot of Fred's talking points on this, and it's kind of bizarre to see him take this position still. Well, I guess if he has a relationship with the Porters, I guess so. I agree with him about people criticizing fighters, although I will say, just because a person isn't in shape or whatnot, they should be able to talk about it. I just think that you should relax a little bit. If you like, people like to go in without, you know, turning that camera back around on themselves and being accountable. And I agree with that. But like I said, to act like a person can't have a strong opinion because of where they're at, it doesn't really make sense either. I mean, people are gonna have their opinions and call out stuff that they see, and that's cool. The other thing that I didn't understand about what he's talking about is that he uses this, or Fred uses this like, you guys just don't get it kind of mentality, and I understand that because he's kind of in the mix with how it all works. But the problem that I would have with that position is, one, explain it. If you feel like there is stuff that we don't get, like, we respect you, man. Explain why that shit doesn't happen. And the other thing that he was saying is that if you feel like it doesn't work like that, so say you got Errol Spence saying, I want to fight this guy, and this guy, and you're saying that if Shawn Porter said, I want to fight Errol Spence, and he's saying that I want to fight Shawn Porter, you're saying it doesn't work like that, and we don't understand. So if it doesn't work like that, are you saying that Errol Spence doesn't know that it doesn't work like that? Or are you saying that Errol Spence understands that it doesn't work like that, but he's kind of posturing and full of shit and doesn't mean that? So if you're saying Errol Spence doesn't mean that, and that would be just totally bizarre to think that Errol Spence, just the way he carries himself, he doesn't do a whole lot of like faking. So, you know, he doesn't appear to be the type of person that is just a look at me kind of guy to be trying to call guys out for attention. So you're either saying that Errol Spence doesn't understand how that works, or you're saying that Errol Spence understands how that works, but is just full of shit when it comes to calling out Shawn Porter, and that doesn't make any sense. The other thing you mentioned is that we should be on Errol Spence for taking the Mikey Garcia fight, and that's absolutely absurd. The reason why it's absurd is because if Danny Garcia and Shawn Porter were trying to fight Errol Spence, this Mikey Garcia fight would be like something that's just conversation. Like, the reason why it makes sense for somebody to support that fight is because Errol Spence he's having a tough time getting the guys that he's been calling out to fight. So that's not cool to be talking about how we should be looking at Errol Spence that way for picking on Mike Garcia, or you feel like that that fight is somehow is ridiculous. It's like, no, the reason why it's even a thing and the reason why Mikey Garcia is getting props is because these other dudes won't fight the guy, man. That's some bullshit. So that's kind of ridiculous. And I don't know how much your relationship or Fred's relationship with the Porters matters. I don't like to just assume that a dude is gonna be like ridiculously biased. Obviously we all have our biases, but I don't think that would I'm hoping that wouldn't take away his ability to be objective, but I do think that he is taking things at people's words without reading through the lines, even if, you know what I mean, if just because you close to the Porters don't mean that you can't kind of read between the lines of what they're gonna say. You know damn well they're not gonna say, yeah, we are afraid of Errol Spence, so we're not trying to fight him, but they will say shit that don't make no sense. And given that, like, I look at something that, because they're smart, something that makes sense, but also gives them an out. So I'm watching, and they're like, if Mikey Garcia and Errol Spence is a pay-per-view fight, then our fight better be on pay-per-view, or then we're going to have a problem. And to me, you have to read between the lines on that to know that that's not cool. Like, that's still a way for you to, because number one, you could just say, nigga, if we win, we're going to fight this dude, and we'll figure out the rest later. And two, it's like, do you feel like Sean Porter has the same pull, you know, the same, like, fan base as a Mikey Garcia, or like, do you feel like that's the same thing as far as the attention it would bring? Like, I don't. But so it's they find little sneaky ways out, and they're smart. They're not dumb to just, you know, admit that. But we got to do a better job of, like, reading the psychology, because at the end of the day, we're all human beings. We gon', you know, there's a reason why one guy will be, nigga, you talk crazy, I'll beat your ass, and then all of a sudden, when it's a guy that you know is known for defending himself, all of a sudden it's gonna be, man, dude, better chill, man. Like people change up, and that's when you gotta know, okay, he don't want no smoke with him. That's what you gotta be able to do. So I'm going off the top of the head. I'm pretty sure I'm forgetting a couple things I wanted to talk about, but I wanted to make sure I just got my thoughts together on that situation, because I really enjoyed this conversation. I'm glad that it kind of came out, and I wanted to respond to Fred about what he was saying, because it's not lining up. And the thing that's crazy about it is Fred is, like, smart, so so he'll talk in a way where it seems like it kind of seems highbrow. I know he don't mean to come off that way. I actually met Fred at the Errol Spence fight. Told him I respect him, man. I like what he does, man. Man, he seems like a really cool dude. Now, this ain't even to you know, come at him crazy, but he's talking crazy about the situation, man. Just because it's not making sense, bro. And if it is making sense, and you saying what we don't understand, you gonna have to, like, kind of break it down better than just to say we don't understand in this business. Like, nah, man, like that's the problem. And you have been at the forefront of kind of breaking through certain things, and so you can't agree with the idea of that's just business. That's been the problem that's why the LDBC is so dope, because we are talking about, like, the real shit, like what's kind of behind that and why the business is whack. Like, so you gotta get on board with that, bro, and keep that shit all the way solid. And know, like, yes, man, these dudes do be ducking each other, and it's not gonna be just flat out, I'm afraid of him. If you looking for that, then, man, like, you're gonna be looking for a long time. You have to be able to understand people. When you're looking at Wilder, you got to be able to understand that over here is this, but over here is this. And if you can't explain exactly why it's this over here, understand that they don't want it. And with Errol Spence, has been that way a long time. And the stuff that we've been talking about with the Canelo fight and the Crawford fight and all the Errol Spence's options, the dope thing about the people that's been supporting him is, like, we've been like, this ain't no shot. This ain't new. This ain't, like, this is what we've been feeling about, you know, what he brings to the table. The other thing the last thing I wanted to say is that you mentioned, Fred mentioned that Mikey Garcia is the same level of dog as Terrence Crawford, and that's ridiculous. I think Mikey Garcia is a very good fighter. I think he's dope. Like, I think he got all the types of skills, but I think that we got to relax when you're talking about Terrence Crawford, because Crawford would have fought. If he was built like Crawford, he would have fought Crawford. He would have fought Crawford. Or tried to, at the very least. If you want to talk about the business of it being weird, cool. But Crawford, the reason why he dope is because he ain't ducking no action. He ain't even about to talk around nobody. It's just gonna be like, that's what it is. That's what we respect about him and Errol. They some real dogs. So I can't give Mikey that. I just give him that he's better than a lot of these other dudes, and he is a beast in the ring, but he ain't built the same as no Terrence Crawford or Errol Spence. That's all I got right now. Appreciate you. Peace.